Dr. Aissatou Sedi encouraged Muslims to adhere to the teachings of the Holy Quran and Sunnah before condemning extremism and violence, twin evils that continue to soil the unstained reputation of the peaceful religion of Islam, quoting relevant sections of the Quran to support her claims. Madam Sedi spoke at length about President Jammeh's resolve and unalloyed determination to strengthen Islam and further deepen its understanding by the faithful. The Vice President cited a number of activities championed and paid for by the President to strengthen Islam, and they include organizing Quranic memorization contests for young scholars, both male and female, sponsoring Muslims to go on pilgrimage, among others. Famarakani, Grts.
Activities marking the 11th edition of the Roots Homecoming Festival continue tomorrow, Wednesday, 14th May 2014, with the symbolic Jolafu Tampa ceremony to be held in Kanilai. The event is expected to be graced by the President, His Excellency Sheikh Professor Alhaji Yahya A.J.J. Jammeh, and all are urged to attend as proceedings will start at 8 a.m. The Monetary Policy Committee of the Central Bank of the Gambia has held its second meeting of the year to review the state of recent domestic and international economic development and to set the policy rate. The committee, after its meeting, held a press briefing on Tuesday. Rahibite was there, and she now tells us more.
Previous meeting of the Monetary Policy Committee, global economic growth was projected to increase from 3.0% in 2013 to 3.7% in 2014 as headwinds that have been restraining activity dissipate. Monetary policy in advanced economics continues to be highly accommodative, and fiscal consolidation, which is said to have been a heavy drain on global growth. The latest IMF growth projection is said to indicate a slight moderation in output in the first quarter of 2014, with downside risks to the outlook mainly emanating from faster than expected pace of feed tapering.
Economic activity in the United States is projected to expand from 2% in 2013 to average around 3% over the next 3 years, following robust growth in the second half of 2013. The pace of economic expansion in early 2014 slowed owing to unseasonably cold weather and severe snowstorms. Eurozone growth prospects remain weak, although there are signs of modest recovery. Growth in emerging economies, especially China, is expected to be solid. However, heightened uncertainty and tightening financial conditions are expected to restrain growth in other emerging economies in the first half of 2014. Growth in sub-Saharan Africa remains robust and is expected to accelerate to 6.1% in 2014 from 5.1% in 2013, underpinned by improved agricultural production and investment in infrastructure.
According to the findings of the Monetary Policy Committee, the Gambian economy is estimated to have grown by 5.6% in 2013, a little lower than the 6.1% in 2012. The economic activities in 2014, according to the CBG governor, are expected to expand to around 6.0 to 6.5% on the back of robust growth in tourism and agriculture.
Data on government fiscal operations in the first quarter of 2014 indicate that total revenue and grants increased to $2.09 billion, higher than $1.62 billion in the corresponding quarter of 2013. Domestic revenue, comprising tax and non-tax revenue, amounted to $1.5 billion compared to $1.44 billion in the first quarter of 2013. Tax and non-tax revenue increased by 11.0% and 1.0% respectively. Grants also rose to $519.6 million relative to $185.4 million in the first quarter of 2013, attributed mainly to the project grants.
Developments in the monetary sector indicate that broad money grew by 10.4% in the year to end March 2014 compared to 8.8% a year earlier. This, according to officials, was attributed to the robust growth in the net domestic assets of the banking system to $13.5 billion. The volume of transactions in the foreign exchange market increased to $363.5 million in the first quarter of 2014, and this compared to the first quarter of 2013, volumes decreased by 17.4%.
Consumer price inflation measured by the National Consumer Price Index increased to 5.56% in March 2014, higher than the 5.35% recorded in March 2013. Both food and non-food prices accelerated to 6.42% and 4.3% respectively from 4.78% and 4.12% respectively in March 2013. Core inflation, which excludes the prices of volatile food items and energy, also rose to 5.56% from 5.29% in March 2013.
Inflation is forecast to average 5%. The main upside risks to the forecast continue to come from the exchange rate, which despite the recent relative stability remains vulnerable to domestic and external shocks. However, the tight monetary policy stance and stronger pace of fiscal consolidation may reinforce the anchoring of inflation expectations. With all the findings, the Monetary Policy Committee judges that the risks to the projected inflation spurt are roughly balanced, a reason why the committee decided to keep the policy rate unchanged at 20.0%. Future policy stance, he added, will depend on a number of factors including projected inflation, inflation expectations, the state of the economy and global developments. Rohibite, Grts.
Following its policy to liberalize the importation of oil products into the country, government has decided to introduce a license regime. A media release from the Ministry of Finance and Economic Affairs states that companies with interest in the importation of petroleum products are invited to apply to the Ministry of Finance and Economic Affairs. Application forms, the release adds, are available during working hours from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. The release ends. The Ministry of Health and Social Welfare on Monday received a fully refurbished ward at the Tanka Psychiatric Unit in Salaji. Trust Bank Gambia Limited provided the funds for the refurbishment, and as we hear in this report by Umijai, the bank also donated second-hand clothing, assortment of drugs to the hospital.
The Rotary Club of Fajara is to arm them with first-hand information on the status of their water and gardening projects, which they are jointly implementing with their partners in the United States to empower local women in hard-to-reach communities in the Central River region.
Rotary is a big fan of women empowerment, and women empowerment actually is a pathway to community development, which is another focus area of Rotary International. Today, the Rotary Club of Fajara, in partnership with the Rotary Club of Prior Lake in the USA, they come together to help develop local communities in the Gambia. We reach out to the people of Kudang and help them build garden projects, and then erect or install boreholes to help in their garden projects.
Here, a total of 13 projects are up and running through a community-driven approach. Lively expanses of garden and water projects were crisscrossed, and officials briefed on the success stories and shortcomings of the projects.
Because it's quite key with the projects that are undertaken by our club. Sustainability is a key issue, and that is the reason why we're doing this trip, to ensure that, you know, all the water and garden projects are up and running. Of course, you've been with us when we were visiting the other projects, and some of the project beneficiaries have, you know, sort of informed us of the challenges that they are facing. Principal among those challenges are challenges of pest infestation, insect infestation of the crops. We've taken a sample of the leaves. I intend to perhaps talk to some of the horticultural outfits and get some technical advice in terms of the best.
Clearly, water and sanitation are focus areas of Rotary International in their strive to empowering rural women. Their intervention